Formula and function in MS Excel. MS Excel is a spreadsheet program provided as a part of the MS Office suite. It enables the user to store, organize and manipulate data in tabular format. We can open MS Excel 2010 by clicking on Start button, then All Programs, and from Microsoft Office, selecting Microsoft Excel 2010. The MS Excel window opens. The Excel sheet is in the form of rows and columns. Rows run horizontally, while columns run vertically. The intersection between a row and a column on a spreadsheet is called a cell. We can perform basic arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. The symbols used for performing these operations are called operators. Let's look at the operators available in MS Excel. The plus sign is used for addition, minus sign for subtraction, asterisk for multiplication, and forward slash for division. The caret symbol is used for exponents or powers. Formula. In MS Excel, we can create our own mathematical expression called formula, depending on the arithmetic calculations we want to perform. A formula is an expression consisting of cell address and constant cells with suitable operators. It starts with an equal to sign. A numeric formula in MS Excel can be of three types. The first is basic formula. Formula having a single mathematical operator is termed as basic formula. For example, formula for performing simple arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, etc. For example, is equal to A1 plus A2 is a basic formula to add the values of cells A1 and A2. The second type of formula is compound formula. A formula having more than one mathematical operator is termed as compound formula. For example, formula for calculating simple interest is equal to A2 into B2 into C2 divided by 100. This will multiply the values of cells A2, B2 and C2 and divide the result by 100. This is a compound formula. The third is text formula. A formula used for concatenating or joining two or more strings by using ampersand is known as text formula. For example, if we write is equal to and then in quotes I and am and a good boy, the result will be I am a good boy by joining the strings. Let's understand text formula with another example. Open MS Excel and write Excel in cell A1 and sheet in cell A2. Now to join both words together, write is equal to A1 and A2 in cell B1. It will result as Excel sheet. Cell reference. A cell or a group of cells selected in Excel worksheet to be used in a formula to perform an operation is known as cell reference. For example, A1, C10, AA20, etc. Let's take an example of a formula is equal to sum of C1 colon C10 into 100 plus A1. Here, sum is the name of the function. C1 to C10 is the cell reference of a range of cells from C1 to C10. Asterisk and plus are mathematical operators and A1 is the cell reference of a single cell. Types of cell referencing. Basically, there are three types of cell referencing: relative, absolute, and mixed cell referencing. In relative cell referencing, the formula, when copied from one cell to another, changes with reference to the new cell where it is being copied. For example, if you enter is equal to B1 plus B2 in cell B3 and copy it to cell D3, it will automatically change to is equal to D1 plus D2. That is, it will contain the sum of D1 and D2, which is relative to cell D3. Similarly, if the same formula is copied to cell F10, it will be copied to cell F10 and will get converted into is equal to F8 plus F9 relatively to cell F10. In absolute cell referencing, when a formula is copied from one cell to another cell, it does not change. That is, formula will not change and will perform same calculations again and again. Absolute referencing is done by using $sign. For example, in cell B3, if we write $B$1 plus $B$2, it will display the sum of cells B1 and B2. However, if the same formula is copied at D3, it will still display sum of cells B1 and B2 instead of cells D1 and D2. Similarly, if the same formula is copied at cell F10, it will still display sum of cells B1 and B2 instead of F8 and F9. This is absolute referencing. Sometimes to write a formula, we use both relative and absolute referencing. This is called mixed referencing. For example, in cell B3, if we type is equal to $B1 plus $B$2, this will fix the column as B in B1 and row 2 in B2. If this formula is copied to cell D3, it will be copied as is equal to $B1 plus D$2. Since column B will remain same in $B1 and B$2 will change to D$2 because B will change to D relatively. Similarly, if the same formula is copied to cell F10, it will copy formula as is equal to $B8 plus F$2. It is because column B in B1 will be fixed and 1 is relative to 10. So it will become 8. Similarly, B in B$2 will change to F$2 because B will relatively change to F10 and $2 will be fixed. These were cell references within the same spreadsheet. Now, let's look at cell reference from another worksheet. You can refer to cells that are on another worksheet of the same workbook by inserting the name of the worksheet followed by exclamation mark and then the cell address or a cell range. Let us take an example. Suppose sheet 1 contains data of students including name and marks in 5 subjects. Now, if you wish to see only name and total marks of the above students, you can use sheet 2. In sheet 2, create the list of names in column A and give column heading total in cell B1. Calculate the total using the data of sheet 1 by writing this formula in cell B2 is equal to sum of sheet 1 exclamation mark B2 to F2. The sum function will find sum of cells B2 to F2 of sheet 1. The cell range B2 to F2 is written with the name of the sheet 1 with an exclamation mark. Press enter key and drag it further with fill handle for other students. Functions in Excel. MS Excel provides many predefined expressions to perform a specific task. These are called functions. Functions accept arguments and return a value. Some functions are used for performing simple calculations such as sum, average, or finding maximum or minimum in the given range of cells. Some functions are used for performing complex calculations like log, exponents, etc. Points to remember while entering a function are: all functions must begin with an equal to sign. Function name must be a valid Excel name, for example, sum, average, etc. Function name must be followed by opening and closing parentheses or brackets. Parentheses must contain arguments within it. Some of the common functions are: sum. It adds a set of numbers or a series of cells. The syntax for sum function is equal to sum and then in brackets number 1, comma, number 2 and so on. Here number 1, number 2, etc. are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. For example, if you input is equal to sum and then the numbers 8, 16 and 5 within brackets, then the output will be 29. If in the input you give cell addresses C1, D2 and E8, then in the output, the data in cells C1, D2 and E8 will be added. Similarly, if you input a cell range like A1 to A7, then in the output, all the data in cell A1 to A7 will be added. The next function is product. It is used to multiply all the given numbers. The syntax for this function is equal to product and then number 1, comma, number 2 and so on within brackets. Here number 1, number 2 and so on are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. For example, if you input cell addresses D2, I4, J1, then the data in the cells D2, I4 and J1 will be multiplied as the output. Similarly, the function arguments can be a range like B4 to B8. The output will be obtained by multiplying the numbers in cells from B4 to B8. The next function is quotient. It is used to find quotient when one number is divided by another number. The syntax to be used is equal to quotient and then numerator, comma, denominator in brackets. The function arguments here are numerator, a number or a cell address that is to be divided. Denominator, a number or cell address by which numerator is to be divided. For example, if the input is equal to quotient and then in brackets D1, C5, then for output the data in cell D1 will be divided by data in cell C5 and quotient will be the outcome. Another function that Excel can perform is power. It is used to calculate the value of a number raised to a power. The syntax used for this is equal to power and number, comma, power in brackets. Here there are two function arguments, number in which any number or a cell address can be entered and power, any number or a cell address can be entered. For example, if your input is equal to power and then in brackets 3, 2, then output will be 9. If you use one number, for example 5, and one cell address, like C1, that is input is equal to power and then in brackets 5 comma C1, then output displayed will be 5 raised to the power of data in cell C1. MS Excel also lets you perform some statistical functions like max. It is used to find the highest number or value from a set of numbers or cell range. The syntax used is equal to max and in brackets number 1, comma number 2, comma and so on. Here number 1, number 2 and so on are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. For example, when input is in numbers equal to max of 36, 24, 39, 2, 48, output will be 48. When input is with cell addresses, that is equal to max of C1, D4, A8, C4, then for output, the highest number from the given cells will be displayed. Similarly, if a cell range is given, for example from C1 to E4, then in output, the highest number from the given range of cells will be displayed. The next statistical function is min. It returns the lowest number from a set of numbers or series of cells. Syntax is equal to min and in brackets number 1, comma number 2 and so on. Here number 1, number 2 and all are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. For example, for this input equal to min of 36, 24, minus 39, minus 2, 48, output is minus 39. Input can also be cell addresses like equal to min of C1, D4, A4, C4 or a cell range equal to min C1 to E4. In output, the lowest number from the given cells will be displayed. Another statistical function is count. You can easily count how many cells contain a number by using count function. Syntax is equal to count value 1, comma value 2 and so on in brackets. Value 1, comma value 2 and all are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. So if input is equal to count of 4, 8, 9, 2, 10, output will be 5. If input is equal to count C1, D4, A8, C4, then in output it will display how many cells out of C1, D4, A8 and C4 contain a number. Similarly, when a cell range is given in input like C1 to F8, then in output it will display how many cells out of C1 to C8, D1 to D8, E1 to E8 and F1 to F8 contain a number. Another useful statistical function is average. It is used to calculate the average of a set of numbers or a series of cells. The syntax is equal to average, then in brackets number 1, comma number 2 and so on. Here number 1, number 2, etc. are function arguments which are different numbers, cell addresses or cell range that can be entered. When numbers are used as function arguments in the input, average of the numbers is displayed as output. That is, input equal to average of 8, 3, 16, 5 and 2. Output is 6.8. If cell addresses or a cell range is used in input, then the average of the data in the given cells will be calculated and displayed as output. That is, input is equal to average of D1, 8, 7, C4. Output, the average of 7, 8 and data in cells C4 and D1 will be displayed. If input is equal to average and then a range of D4 to D9, then in the output, the average of all the data in cells D4 to D9 will be displayed. Sheet tab. MS Excel arranges worksheets in the form of a workbook. The various data sheets are organized on Sheet tab at the bottom of the workbook. By default, 3 worksheets appear in each workbook with the names Sheet 1, Sheet 2 and Sheet 3. You can add more worksheets in your workbook and you can also rename or delete the worksheet from your workbook. Inserting or adding new worksheets. To insert or add new worksheets in a workbook, left-click the Insert Worksheet icon or press the Shift plus F11 keys on the keyboard. A new sheet will appear. It will be named as Sheet 4. If you want to insert new sheet before already inserted sheet, for example, add a sheet before Sheet 2 in a workbook, then right-click on Sheet 2 tab, select the Insert option from the menu. Insert dialog box appears. Here, select Worksheet option on the General tab and click on OK button. New sheet will appear. It will be named as Sheet 4. Renaming worksheets. To rename a worksheet, right-click the Sheet tab, select the Rename option from the menu. Now type the new name for the worksheet. New name of your worksheet will appear on the Sheet tab. Deleting worksheets. To delete a worksheet, right-click the Sheet tab you want to delete. Select the Delete option from the menu. A confirmation box appears. Click on the Delete option in the confirmation box. If you want to retain it, click on Cancel option. Selected sheet will disappear from the worksheet. Changing color of Sheet tab. You can also change the color of Sheet tab. To do this, right-click the Sheet tab that you want to change the color of. Select the tab color option from the menu. Select any color from the theme or standard colors. You can also choose more standard or custom colors by clicking on More Colors option. Your Sheet tab color will change to selected color.